everyone, welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. The subject of today's episode is why are some wines so expensive and other ones aren't? Well, there's a few reasons. The most tangible reason is the cost of fruit. So let's say a winery in Napa, which is this one, and one in Royal Slope, AVA of Washington State. Napa fruit, cab, which this is a cab, can go for $8,500 a ton. Royal Slope, $1,600 a ton. Huge difference in the cost of fruit. If the winery owns their own vineyards, that's helpful for them. The fruit doesn't cost them as much. The labor of keeping the vineyards up and all that, of course, has to be factored in. But overall, it doesn't cost them as much. If they don't own their vineyards, they have to buy that fruit from another winery, another vineyard owner, and of course they're going to have to pay a premium price for it. The other thing is oak treatment. If they use French oak, it's going to be more expensive because French oak barrels go from anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 a barrel. And then American oak goes for much less than that. It can be anywhere from $300 to $800 a barrel for American oak. So those are the most tangible things. Cost of land, cost of fruit, cost of labor, cost of barrels. Those all factor into the price of the wine. The more behind the scenes reasons, and they're pretty obvious when you start talking about them, is marketing. If a wine is a good marketer, winery is a good marketer, and they make their wines appear to be worth as much as they're charging, well, people are going to clamor for them. Take the example, Screaming Eagle goes for thousands of dollars a bottle. They have a waiting list of people trying to buy this wine. Of course, you know, they're obviously very wealthy people. And then you have a winery like Sine Qua Non down in California that, you know, their bottles go for $300 to $600 a bottle. Manfred Krankel has done a great job of marketing his wines, and people clamor for those wines. So marketing has a lot to do with it. Also, scarcity, supply and demand. And then one of the ones that really can drive the price up is critics' wine scores. So these guys submit their wines to critics who will score it, and then that score can drive the price up because it makes the consumer want that wine. I can remember when Chalk Hill Chardonnay was like $30 a bottle. Then the Wine Spectator put it as their #1 wine of the year. This is years back. And it immediately went up to close to $50 a bottle, just for that reason. The Chardonnay wasn't any better, but you see now they have that score, that prestige behind them, and they raised the price. So those are kind of the intangible things that force the price up on these wines. And I do respect the wineries that, you know, don't submit their wines to wine critics. They just make it and hope people enjoy it. So we have two wines. We have one from Napa Valley, Joseph Phelps, famous for Joseph Phelps Insignia, which is $100, well over $100 a bottle. I think it's closer to over $200. This is a 2019 Joseph Phelps Cab from Napa Valley. It is $85. And we're going to taste the Gard Vintners, the Dawn Cab 2020 from Lawrence Estate Wines on Royal Slope, Washington. We know the fruit is cheaper here. Fruit is more expensive there, and I have no idea if Joseph Phelps owns their own vineyards. They probably do. They've been around a long time. So let's start off with the Washington wine. I have a reputation in my community for finding great values. That's what I'm known for. It doesn't mean I don't try expensive wines every once in a while. You know, you have to. You're curious about how they taste. So this is fairly dark, kind of a reddish purple black color. I hope you can see that a little bit there. I can see through it a little bit. Let's see what we get on the nose. Get a little bit of a herbaceousness, a leafy element coming through. I get some bittersweet chocolate on this one. Definitely dark cherry and currants. It doesn't smell super alcoholic. Curious about. Oh, this has a little bit of Syrah in it too. The 78 Cab, 22 Syrah. Interesting. As long as it has over 75%, you can call it Cabernet Sauvignon. I can't see the alcohol content on it. It's down there and it's so light I can't see it, but it doesn't smell super hot to me. Let's see. That's interesting. Glad I read that. So quite a bit of Syrah. Which is interesting because that would definitely change it a little bit in the flavor profile and on the nose. Syrah is a very powerful grape. And I notice a lot of Washington wineries, and they do it all over the place, all over the United States. They like to use Syrah in their blend because Syrah sells them, crapped out a little bit. This is nice structure, good integration. Not a lot of oak on this one. You wouldn't expect that for $23. I get currant notes, just a touch of spice. They could be using some oak staves. They take these little oak spindles and they put them in the barrel, or they just put staves in there to give it that oak characteristic, but there's not a lot of oak on this. It's very fresh, but it has that nice currant, cherry notes, a little bit of spice on the back end. I like this cab. This would be a nice cab to just have with the steak. It's a reasonably priced cab. I'm going to go straight up B. I think it's a well-made cab. And, it has everything you expect in cab. The 22% Syrah kind of surprises me. That's a lot of Syrah, but they can do it because as long as, and some wineries don't even put that on. They'll add Syrah, they'll add this and that. They don't even put it on the label. Thankfully, and the Lawrence families, they're great. They grow a lot of fruit. They have fruit orchards, they sell fruit, apples and all that, probably peaches, things like that. And they decided to start their own winery because, hey, they were selling all their grapes to other wineries, so why don't we make it? And so they own their vineyards, which makes the price go down. They're not using a lot of oak, so the price stays down. And good cab, solid score. So let's go to the 2019 Joseph Phelps Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. This rolls in at $85. So a huge difference in price. Let's see if there's a huge difference in quality. See if I can see that. By the way, I just had eye surgery 2 weeks ago, so this is 14% alcohol. Joseph Phelps, famous for, like I said, insignia, which goes for hundreds of dollars. This is at $85. I'm excited to try this. Not my price range, normally. Very dark on this one. This is a little darker than the Gard. Very concentrated black. Almost black. Black purple. Okay. Hope you can see that on this. Oh yeah. The nose is, fairly plush. Getting definite chocolate tones on this one. Currant notes, a little bit of licorice coming through. I'm getting some baking spices, which would make me think they're using French oak. Just a hint of... Seems like I'm getting a little vanilla on this. I wonder if they use some American oak. A little bit of a kind of a cedary sort of nose on this one as well. Let's see what we get on the palate. Well, that's a nicely integrated cab. Wow. Velvety on the palate, but good structure. The currant notes come through. I get a lot of baking spice on this one. I'm pretty sure they use French oak on this. Nice structure, a little bit of attitude on the tannins on the finish, but overall just a very plush wine, not over the top, fruit. Like I said, nicely integrated, has some freshness on the back end, so there's some acidity to this. the chocolate notes right underneath. Well-made cab. Well-made cab. Now, you say, well, this isn't really fair, Stan. You're comparing a 23 to an 85. But I wanted to talk about why this one's $85 and why this is $23. Why this is a good wine. Why this is a, you know, you don't have to. I mean, there's some wines I've tasted from Napa Valley that don't show like this one does, but this is definitely an A to A plus cab. Not because of the price, just because of the quality and the way it's made. Price should never drive a grade. It's how it's made. And this is just a little lighter, but still a very well-made cab. So, you know, both good in their own way. The price on this one is obviously more attractive than this one, unless you're making a ton of money. Yeah, solid. A to A plus, B, solid B. Well, I hope I helped you just a little bit understand why some wines are more expensive than others. They don't always, you know, show that differently, but in this case, the Phelps came through. $85 is a lot of money. I always say you can be more disappointed, easier to be disappointed at $85 than it is to be disappointed at 23. So, yeah, depends, you know, if you want to treat yourself, this would be a nice treat. If you just want to have something to enjoy every day, a good cab, this is a solid effort. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I hope you are enjoying these episodes. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see what's coming up next. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.